Hey, lovely people, a pleasant evening to everybody. All right, wonderful people. So, I was watching the news last evening, and on the Don Anderson's poll, I found something quite interesting. In the polling, he was, I suppose, looking at the part of the demography in terms of male versus female. And an interesting theorem came out where between the two sexes, the women were the ones who were not convinced, or they're not easily, let's say, bamboozled or swayed by the different sweet words of politicians, the promises of politicians. It's the men who are actually more easily swayed than the females. I found that very odd because women are generally moved by what they hear, men are generally moved by what they see. So I'm kind of surprised to know that in the fairly recent Don Anderson's poll, that the men are the ones, who took over for the female and the female took over for the men. I mean, that is a whole argument that would just stir up, controversial issues. A number of men saying how women are very masculine, and a number of women are saying how, men are very feminine. So it is, but I'm just playing with that where that is concerned. But I'm saying that to say that, that I'm surprised that the women are not the ones who are swayed by the words, but rather the men, which is quite strange, but it is what it is. So there you have it, politicians. And one of the things that I wouldn't encourage is that I don't know what the statistics show in terms of voter turnout, if it is more men versus more women. I think when I go, is it equal number, or you probably slightly see more women? Women tend to be very participative in things. So I wouldn't be surprised if you have more women voting versus more than men voting. Women tend to want to do this, charter this course. I mean, if it was an athletic game, then you would not naturally probably would find more men. If it was like a contact sport, something very masculine and that brings out the testosterone in men, probably. But it is just voting. So, as I said, women tend to be a little bit more engaged in activities than do men, unless we're talking about sporting activities. And the men, that is their forte, that is their hub. So with that being said, it is very imperative for the politicians to understand that sweet words will not cut it. Political talk will not move the people. This time around, they want to see action. Action, not a bag of mouth. Action, not a bag of mouth. They're tired of it. They've gotten used to the words. It's like the Casanovas, the men with the sweet words, and they're wondering, the lady not budging anymore. She's gotten used to it. She realizes it's a fable. It is not real. It is just to get inside of her clothes. Inside of her clothes. And then you be on your merry way. So, politicians, please note that it's the men who are more swayed, and probably you have far more. You definitely are going to need the females. You can't ignore them, no matter what you believe or no matter what you think. So you have to understand that the talk will not do. So with that being said, since both sides are talking, what it is that we are going to use as women to go out and vote, you have to look at track record. So my thing is, look at the track record. Look at what has been done, what is being done, and what you think may continue. Because you can only have an idea on the basis of consistency, on the basis of change, on the basis of transformation. You're going to have to do that and be fair in your voting. Don't vote because of your auntie and your uncle and your mother and your father and your sister and your brother, your cousin, your niece, your nephew, other relatives and friends. Vote for the changes that you've been seeing in the positive. Vote for what? And sometimes you may have to take a calculated guess in terms of what you think may work. But the calculated guess is based on what has been done and what is being done and what is happening. All right, my wonderful people. So you're gonna have to do that. But please, politicians, understand that the women are not moved anymore by your sweet words. Action, we said this time. And for the men that are seeking women, action. The word's nice, yes, nice to hear. I love you, but we're tired of that now. If we were to get, if we were to bet on that for the number of times men say I love you, and whatnot, we'd be multi-millionaires, billionaires. But if we were to go on your actions, we would be paupers, poor, indigent, beyond broke. Zilch, nada, nothing we would have if we were to go on your actions. All right, guys. So, you know what to do. Read TikTok and YouTube. Subscribe. Give me one of those lions. Thank you.